Everybody, this is Bo back in the Sports Lounge. Listen, we got one of our personal favorites in the house to talk boxing, UFC, and anything else we want to talk about. It's Rory Markham. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Bo. What's going on, buddy?
It's all good, all good. Rory, you know what? I just had Jackie Kalen on, and we were talking boxing. And she's got a couple guys that are kind of like old school and off air. I'll give you the links so you can check them out. But she's got a couple guys that are 9-0 and 10-0 in boxing, and she actually wants to come to Detroit to reopen the Galaxy Gym. Is that cool or what?
That is amazing. I'm an enormous boxing fan, as you well know, Bo. And that's Jackie Kalen's done a lot of work, man. She's a workhorse, and she's one of the pioneers, man.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Now, Rory, let's talk over a little bit about what's going on right now, because we've been out of circulation for 6 months. And you've had a lot going on in that time period. So why don't you catch us up to breast what's going on with your career?
Well, with my career right now, I started, let's see, so 6 months would put us at, we probably talked after the Farber fight, that I'd actually just gotten a few phone calls last night about people who were able to see my Brody Farber knockout on Greatest Knockouts of '08 or whatever it was, and that's always good to hear every once in a while. I unfortunately keep missing it. My DVR somehow finds a way to always not record it, but that's that. And then I had the co-main event in London, England with Dan Hardy, which I ended up losing. I had some, he was a good striker, definitely kid knows what he's doing, had some health issues as well going into the fight, and now I'm just kind of trying to revamp and make myself, especially being in the UFC, make myself a better fighter. That's really the key. I mean, if you don't in that organization, you die. There's just too many good guys out there that are evolving every day. So I'm trying to round out my game a bit and stop being so much of a slugger, although I will always favor boxing, just who I am. I can't really get away from that. I still need to definitely continue to round out my game and, keep people guessing a little more instead of knowing they're going in for a fight and know exactly what I'm going to do every fight. I don't want to be a one-trick pony in that sense.
Well,
that's all, man. I mean, not that it's too little, but it's what I got going on. Just trying to evolve and keep out of this economic recession, man. This thing's killing me.
Go to the gas pump and you're like, is this Fort Knox? What is this, man?
Exactly, man. It's just getting scared for real, man. I mean, it's getting scary a little bit. But I just try to stay positive. Woke up on the right side of the bed this morning, and I just got a feeling it's going to be one of those good days.
Rory, I think the one thing that we can gather from the Hardy fight is that Rogan was actually on your side. I couldn't even freaking believe it, because he's always been critical of the IFL guys. As we all know, anybody that wasn't born into the UFC by sheer God, he's always given them a hard time. And I couldn't believe it. He was like saying, "Well, yeah, he's not going to get hurt." Rory comes back. I mean, Rory's got this knockout capability. As soon as he gets hurt, that's when he's the deadliest. And Hardy probably well scoped that out. He seemed like he watched a lot of your fights and knew that when you were hurt, you have to be at your best, because you've knocked out more guys when you were hurt, I think, than any other fighter.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. And not that it's I should stop getting hurt, but I appreciate that, man. That's cool to hear. Sometimes you just and I haven't I've watched the fight, but I've only watched clips of it. I've never watched the entire fight, and I think that's amazing. I love when Joe gets on a fighter's side. He's pretty bipartial. He doesn't really ever take a side and really stick with it. So I'm actually gonna I'm gonna bike down, try to close my eyes when the knockout happens, and listen to the Rogan commentary, because that there's a guy I really look up to, and I think he's a really good fight analyst. And he's I know that anytime he's not in the commentator's booth, I just think that it just misses that little bit of spunk, and believe it or not, his fight accuracy, especially with his techniques. He's a jiu-jitsu brown belt, I believe. He's just he's the right guy to have in the booth, and for him to talk nice about me, I think that's something I can just go ahead and turn on the TV and watch that fight finally, and hear what he has to say, because I respect him that much.
We weren't sure how you were going to be, because you've been on the winning side for a while now, and when you had that loss, we were like, man, because we're always kind of intimidated, because we don't want to Jim Gray anybody like ESPN and get them, when they're down, and then roll with the story. We're just trying to figure out when the best time, because it's got to hurt. I mean, for the incredible wins you've had together and the way you fight, you always come back. It was just, I wouldn't want to watch it, to be honest with you, because I hate looking at myself. I get critiqued by my marketing manager all the time. You know what I'd like to sit down and you do an interview? She goes, "You lisp, you say your B's too hard, and you're annoying some people."
Oh man, you know what though? I mean, what is Miramoto Musashi says it? The best. We are our own worst enemies, and that's never a statement's been more true, especially with guys like you and I, Bo. It's I certainly and I'm glad you guys called when you did, because I am a little bit up. I'm better now. I was certainly down for a little bit there. I was just kind of confusing. What did I do wrong? What did I this? What did I that? And it's really the only great fighters are the ones that come back from a loss. I mean, my good friend, one of my best friends, Sam Sheridan, he's an author. He wrote the book A Fighter's Heart, and he was telling me that he's doing another book called The Fighter's Mind, and he spoke with Freddie Roach, getting back to boxing, and he said the difference between me and Manny Pacquiao was that once I hit the canvas, and he goes, my dad wouldn't even let me do sit-ups on the canvas because your back was never supposed to touch it. And then he goes, once that finally happened, I could never really put my losses behind me. And he goes, and if you can't put your losses behind you, they're always going to happen. Obviously less frequently in boxing because you're a little more manicured. But he said, that's where Manny Pacquiao is different. He could always take a loss. He took his losses, put them behind him, and he can always move forward. He can move forward from every fight. He doesn't rest on his laurels, and he just moves forward. And that's something I try to do. It's much easier said than done, but it's something that I'm trying to adapt and learn to do. And with the IFL, it was a little bit different because had I lost, I only lost, twice in the IFL. But after I did that, it was the turnaround was so short that it was like automatic for me to just put a fight behind me. And now with the UFC, I've got a little more time in between fights. It definitely gives you time to dwell. And if you don't do the proactive things by getting better, then you're kind of just going to sit back and and let that one fight kill you, and then that's certainly not going to be me.
Well, I think a lot can be gathered from it too. Is that if this was boxing, in the day and age we're in boxing, you cannot have a loss and ever get a card. In mixed martial arts, you can afford to have certain losses that will not affect you at all. I mean, you look at some of the losses of some of the superstars in mixed martial arts. Wanderlei Silva has a bunch of losses, but he is a top card. It's almost like the fans in the UFC and mixed martial arts are like the NASCAR fans, because Dale Earnhardt hasn't won a race that I can think of, and I'm still a fan of his. I still buy his shirts, and I still drink Amp, but he hasn't won. And I think I think the UFC is shown that you don't have to win every single fight. You just got to be classy. And I think that's where you're seeing a lot of people bond to. I mean, I got a chance to interview Silva, and he was awesome. I can see why he has millions of fans. The way he just treated you, the way he was just overboard. I mean, and it sounds, and you've got a huge fan following now, Roy. You got to feel it when you walk out of the arena, people are patting in the back, asking for autographs. They got to be, because you're one of the most visible guys out there in the IFL, in the UFC.
Oh, thanks, Bo. I appreciate it. And well put, man. Well said. You know what? You know what? I think our fans are. You know what? We are. I guess they are a lot like NASCAR fans, because you look at Randy Couture's career. I believe he's 15-8 or something, and something crazy. But and it's his wins and how he absolutely what you were saying. He's a classy guy, and I think that the fans respond to that. His fights are definitely exciting. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, I think the fans identify with his personality and stay behind him for that reason. And I did not, I really, I thought about it, but I never really put that together. It makes a lot of sense. It's well put, man. That's something that makes a lot of sense, and that makes me want to absolutely keep plugging along and making sure that I maintain the utmost class in and outside the ring.
Well, you always do, Rory. I mean, you're always good to us. You always come on no matter what. You always speak very well, and you're very well diverse in what's going on in current trends. I mean, a lot of fighters that we get a hold of or we start working out, they're sometimes a little clueless that, one, the fans just spent $500 to sit and watch you fight, or $25 to watch you fight, and they don't really care. You, John Doomsday Howard care, Sylvia cares. There's a lot of fighters that do care, that really make following the sport that much better. I mean, Rory, you probably got a T-shirt with your face on, and you probably don't even know it yet.
I don't know it. And you know what? If I could tell you what, if